Yeah, unless you've been living under a rock, I'm pretty sure everybody in the gaming community, even people outside of the video game community, know the whole story behind EA and the Battlefront 2 loot box thing that's going on, how the governments have been stepping in, trying to consider this a form of gambling and stepping away to take this away from our children. Make sure that our children are being protected from these predatory loot box practices. And the thing that gets me though is people are actually going out and trying to defend EA's actions with this. Like take the blame off of EA and say they are not in the wrong for what they're doing. I mean, what's your thoughts on this, Nom?
You know what this reminds me of? Do you guys remember when the Xbox One announcement came out and they were talking about, oh, it has to be online 24/7 and all that, and it was just this train wreck of an announcement for a console, and you still had this like fanboy Xbox Microsoft fanboys that were just like, oh, it's they're just trying to justify everything they were doing, even though it was crap, and that's exactly what this is. And I'm surprised at this point, with all the crappy stuff that EA has been going through lately, that they still have fanboys out there. But it's clear that they still do at this point. Look at, you know, EA is even kind of stepping back a little bit and going, like it's hard for me to even kind of come up with any sort of trust, especially with everything that's been going on lately with big time companies, and EA is definitely one of them that's been in the uh, the shitter for a while now. You guys are familiar with what Apple has been doing. I don't know if you
Yeah,
guys heard about it.
Yeah.
the whole slowing the iPhones down.
Yeah, and they've kind of had to come out and say, you guys, we're sorry. You need to trust us again. We got to earn back your trust, and that's where EA is at right now. So if you have people that are trying to defend what EA has done, I don't exactly know where you're coming from. I don't know what your argument is. I don't know what your defense for EA is. I just am basically, stopped at like duh, like I don't even know what to think.
Well, in one of the videos going on that was trying to make the argument that EA wasn't in the wrong was basically sitting there saying that it's people's choice if they want to go out and buy these loot boxes or these, these forms of, these gambling addictions. But at the same time, they sat there and said, well, that's on the parents if they decide to purchase these for their children. But I mean, we've seen time and again with kids racking up data on racking up money on mom's credit cards for just online, mobile games. So, I mean, it does at some point have some ramifications as to the way that it is teaching our children a concept of money that, I mean, there's a reason, I guess, that gambling is set for a age of 21. They want to make sure that you know children are not children know have a concept of money before they go out and do something like that. And some people will sit there and compare them to, well, Pokemon cards, but Pokemon cards have monetary value, meaning you can take those cards out, you can go sell them and get money out of them. You can't do that with loot boxes in video games. Once you buy that, you get the material. That stuff has no real world value what's outside of the game. What it's only valuable in the game. You can't get anything in the real world for it.
Yeah. And also, not only that argument, but there's also other arguments, which, I mean, like, okay, I'm not going to use this. Well, I am. Mostly, these are coming from the casual players. I don't like saying that, but it's really what they are. These are people who, they don't play video games a lot. They don't know a lot about the industry, but they just go home, play a couple matches, and then go to sleep, go to work the next day, come back, play a couple matches, and that's it. And I was reading a few Twitter posts on this topic, and there's this the loot boxes and just hope that they get whatever that they get. And I mean, I can understand that you don't have time and none of that stuff, but look, the point is that it wouldn't be such a problem if the game wasn't revolving around this loot box system. All right, the people who are defending EA mostly, they're the casuals, the people who they go home, they get home from work, they play a few matches, and they go right back to work the next morning. You know, come back home, play a couple of matches. And I was reading a few Twitter posts on this topic and people defending it. It's mostly coming from these kind of people who they say that they don't have time to grind for these skins or to unlock these heroes or villains through gameplay. And really, I think what the problem is, it's not that the grinding so much like what is it's how much how long it takes for you to grind for those skins, but the people who say that they want to just buy the loot boxes and hope that they get it, it's they don't understand that the game when it was being developed, EA was developing this game with the loot boxes in mind. They had in mind that these loot boxes, you know, this is going to be the main way to get all your skins. So they made that thing a grind. That way you would be forced to kind of purchase these loot boxes and hope you get a skin. And so the game wouldn't be broken if like they weren't developing it in that way. If you guys get what I'm saying, do you all have the game Battlefront, or have you played it?
Nope.
I haven't played Battlefront, and one of the big reasons is because of stuff like this.
Yeah, okay. Well, here, short story. I got Battlefront 2. I didn't pay for it. This girl from GameStop got it for me. I think I told you guys that. She had gotten it for me, and yeah, you know, I started playing it, and that's how I was able to put it on my top 10 most disappointing games list of 2017. Is because I saw that through gameplay, this game is it's a fantastic game. The mechanics work and everything, but through loot boxes, if you're able to purchase loot boxes, it gives you a higher advantage, you know, a better advantage of winning, like drastically. There are some power-ups that will give your ship, if you're playing a starfighting mode or whatever, a space battle, you get a Millennium Falcon or a TIE Fighter star cards, that's what they call them, abilities that will basically buff your health by drastically, or they'll give you no cooldown time to start regenerating health. It's stuff like that that it could really turn the tide of any game. And you can tell when you play games, it's either you're going to get slaughtered very badly or you're going to slaughter people very badly. There's no close battles. It's always one-sided, if you guys know what I mean. You have the overpowered people fighting the ones who just don't have the loot boxes or the abilities, and I guess that's to kind of push people to kind of want to buy these loot boxes. And I still don't. I understand where some people are coming from, but a lot of people who aren't into the gaming industry as such as us, or like paying attention, they don't know, or they just don't know that EA was developing this game with the loot box system in mind, just to make money back.
Well, you know, and it's sad, really, when every single game critic review out there is praising the game in the capacity of the gameplay being better than the first one, it being a very solid, fun game. But every critic said it's held back by its loot boxes and microtransactions. If you're having paid critics and giving these reviews and saying that the game feels like it's held down because of that, you know, maybe that means something.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's these rumors that are going around, or like these thoughts that Disney just came up to them and just said, "Hey," like, or like they kind of stepped on EA's neck for a second, like the mouse came up to them and threatened them. Yeah, and it's like Disney, you did a good thing doing that, but after the recent Star Wars movie, I mean, y'all know I wasn't a fan of it, but I kind of want to step on your neck too. But it's just ridiculous that EA would go to this length, because they really, if they have Disney's backing, they can do anything they want, pretty much. You know, if they have the budget, it's there. it's a Star Wars game. It's going to sell. You don't need to worry about needing microtransactions to fund your game. And a lot of people are saying that, oh, because the microtransactions are out, it's going to lead EA to start charging for DLC. Their free content's gone. Do you think that's a valid argument?
I don't. It's just like Alana Pierce over there at IGN put it. She said, people who are going off and complaining, that video games aren't being able to make money, and that's the reason these developers are have to put in microtransactions, or that they'll have to in turn add more DLC or up the prices of games. She says no. Video games are making more money than they ever have before. Just take a look at some of the titles that EA has released or Activision. They they keep going. What they make keeps going up because people go out and buy these titles. It's just like she said. At this point, microtransactions are just pocket change for the developers. That's what it boils down to.
Most of y'all y'all follow sometimes money and what's gone into or the budgets for video games sometimes, right?
Yeah.
All right. So,
Sometimes.
all right. So Namdi and Spoons, you both have played Destiny, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the budget for Destiny, vanilla Destiny, we're talking about the original release for Destiny. We're talking plain old Destiny, no DLC or anything. 300 mil or not 300. Yeah, $300 million. $300 million. And what was the state of that game?
It was incomplete, half-assed, broken in some aspects.
Nam, you got anything to add to that? That pissed you off?
Lacked of left unfinished.
What are you talking about, bro? The
Undercooked.
story was amazing if you read those little intels they dropped on the floor for you. That you had to
Yeah.
go create a Bungie account and then reap it. All right, so $300 million, right? Someone hands you $300 million and you made that. Amazing soundtrack, by the way. Um, but then you give another developer $40 million, 40 million, and they come out with The Witcher 3, a game that won Game of the Years like galore. People praise the game and say it's their one of their favorite games of all time, right? Like it just beat the crap out of Skyrim. Like people compare it to Skyrim all the time, and it just to show like how good it was. All the side quests, everything was thought out. The story was there. Combat was good. I myself haven't played it. Have y'all played it?
I've got to play a little bit. I can say the story, the open world aspect, the detail, the combat. I mean, everything just flows smoothly. All the praise that it gets, it's not understated. That's for sure.
All right, so it's well deserved praise, but that's $40 million. Imagine what they could have done if they had 300 million. Like, and don't like people can't say that. Oh well, it didn't sell as good. No, it did. That game is people still talk about it. People go out there and buy the complete editions. It's sold, talked about. You don't hear the end of it. It's one of those games that's amazing. Destiny, you could say Destiny 2 already died out. You don't hear anything about Destiny 2 anymore, other than like the controversy surrounding EA or not EA, Bungie and Activision. You hardly hear about it. Its life is over pretty much. But The Witcher 3 is still going strong. So when people tell me that, oh, well, video games they cost too much money, they need money, so they use microtransactions to kind of help fund the game, future DLCs and stuff. Well, you know what? I call bullcrap on that because when you see somebody like just put in effort with the money that they got and everything, and they come out with The Witcher 3 over a Destiny, like it's a stupid comparison that or stupid something stupid to just say that oh yeah video games are they're too expensive to make them good. It's all going to come back down to the passion and the time and the effort that these developers put in, and it shows. You can have all the money in the world, but if you're not putting in the effort or anything, it's not going to come out good.
Well, and sometimes I have to sit there and say these companies put so much money into advertisement for this game that they rack up the prices of it being expensive, And I mean, is it and people sit there, oh well, they got to advertise their game so they can get it out in the market and people know about it. But yet at the same time, if you're a good developer, then that's going to speak for themselves. Activision and Bungie could have taken the money really for Destiny 1, applied that into the game, created more assets, hired more people to help flesh out the game a bit more, and let Bungie sell it themselves. Oh, hey, a new game coming from the creators of Halo. Well, damn, I gotta check this out. They didn't need advertisement for that game. Bungie was their advertisement.
There's no better advertisement than a quality game.
Yeah,
And
not to mention
that's just a fact.
yeah, and not to mention it got around by let's take a series that hardly anybody knew about. Let's take the Soul series. Now everybody compares everything hard to the Soul series. I freaking hate that. But take the Soul series for instance. When Dark Souls came out, we'll talk about Demon Souls in a little bit. When Dark Souls, when it came out, nobody knew about it. The only thing that got around about Dark Souls is like, hey, you got to try this game out. I didn't see no advertisements for Dark Souls at all. The way I heard about Dark Souls personally was through friends. A friend who heard it from another friend, who heard it from another friend, and who saw this YouTube video, this YouTuber. And it's all there, and it became a legacy. It created a franchise that like it's memorable to this day. Like everyone knows what the Soul series are. It has its own fan base, but the developer, the creator, had a vision and he executed it just so well, where they made all their money back plus a lot more. But now look at EA, like, well, not, yeah, look at EA. Like, now when you see a game published by EA, is that going to make you guys want to go buy it? Spoon, Noms?
No, it's actually kind of completely turned my opinion and my hype surrounding Anthem on its head.
Exactly.
I don't care about Anthem anymore. And now when it comes to EA, it's going to have to be put up or shut up. Like I'm not going to trust that you're going to provide me with a quality gaming experience that's not going to be riddled with some sort of microtransaction bullshit that's going to detract from the rest of the game. I'm just not going to trust that they're going to do that. And until they put something out that's not like that, and I hear review after review after review after review that people are saying, okay, this is legit. EA's back. Anthem's actually legitimately good. You should go out and buy this. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to talk about it, and I'm just not going to care about it until I find out otherwise.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you said we were going to talk about Demon Souls a little bit earlier. Well, let's talk about it now. A game relatively no one knew anything about. I mean, we'd had games in the similar style, through Kingsfield, things like that. But all of a sudden, this game started developing traction from game critics. Game critics were like, "Hey, this game needs to be paid attention to." And it's kind of like one of those games. Yeah, it's gonna flop. And then all of a sudden, reviews started dropping for this game. Every critic was talking about how amazing this game was, how well executed everything was, and all of a sudden, gamers started to flock to it. Gamers started realizing, hey, they're right. This game is really good. It didn't need anything more than just word of mouth. Sometimes and point being, you can't buy good press for your game.
No. I think that's what hurt Battlefront 2. And this proves it. Good press, it all depends on what the people think, the reviewers, the critics. Because before Battlefront 2 even dropped, you had people already saying that the loot boxes, the microtransactions, they hurt the overall experience. Don't buy this game. And how much money, do you guys know how much money EA has lost already?
Wasn't it 3 million, 3 billion, something like
3
that?
billion, all right, $3 billion. No?
I have no idea.
All right, well, I made a video a little while ago. By the time I made the video, I said that, EA had lost $3 billion. And I said, you know what, guys, let's get up to $6 billion. And I was just saying that loosely. I didn't think it was going to happen. And sure enough, 1 week later, guess what happens? $6 billion gone.
Wow.
You go to stores. I thought this was like a troll or something, or like someone who just stocked up at a Best Buy or something in Australia, or I forgot what store it was. They had pictures of just Star Wars Battlefront games on the store shelves, like no one bought it. Now I'm thinking like, oh, okay, well that's probably just in the UK or in Australia where they took the picture. I forgot where it was. I think it was Australia. And sure enough, I go to a Best Buy. I went like last week, and sure enough, in stock. It's not even behind a cage anymore. It's like out there. You know, we could just pick up the game and walk away. $40. Star Wars Battlefront 2, just full in stock. No one's picking up that game. Not only that, it's caused so much controversy that the government has to step in, and that's not what.
And I have, yeah.
That's problems. That's just big problems for the gamers. Because now we're gonna have the government stepping in and trying to control and how the games are going to be developed and what the rating should be, the ESRB and all that stuff. It's a whole mess. EA has definitely created a huge mess for many people, and some of these like Blizzard. Let's talk about Blizzard real quick. That their microtransactions or their loot boxes, nobody minds them because they're purely cosmetic. You know, for the type of game that it is, nobody really minds it. I'm still not on. I'm not all for it, but I don't mind it since I play Overwatch. Spoons, do you mind it?
I mean, again, you're looking at someone who's never going to buy any of the loot box transactions just because that's not my kind of thing. I'd rather waste that money somewhere else or use that money I put towards that for something else. But
Yeah, but I'm
it's
yeah, and then I mean the way see it, like it's gonna hurt them. You know, they try to earn a little extra cash, you know, on the side to help, you know, support the game. I mean, but the loot boxes they aren't hard to get. You know, you every time you level up, you get a loot box, and it doesn't take long to level up. It's like a match or two, depending on how well you do. It's it was the game wasn't created around the loot box system, but EA they messed it up. You know, they done goofed,
yeah.
and here we are.
I mean, and anytime you have to have the government get involved in video games, you know it's gotten bad. I never like to see the government step in and try to get involved in video games. So, congratulations, EA. You done effed it up.
You got anything else to add, Nam?
It's in the game.
What's in the game?
EA.
Oh yeah, the yeah, I remember that. That's old.